Let's take a check of your money and all the good things going on right now. We've got great earnings so far. 78% of the S&P 500 beat Wall Street expectations. That's the highest earnings beat rate since 2008. $8 trillion in new market wealth since the election. 3.3% GDP growth. That's from the CBO forecast. Atlanta Fed says 4% GDP growth. We've got a jobless rate of 3.9%. That's the lowest in a generation. Wages going up 2.6% annualized. More than 6 million jobs unfilled and available. Tax revenues pouring in. Maybe those tax cuts are paying for themselves. Let's bring in presidential historian Doug Wead. Great to see you, Doug.
Good to see you, Liz.
You know, it seems like Democrats might be in a bind. How do you talk badly about the economy when the economy is doing pretty good?
Yeah, they're not very happy. Unemployment could go to zero and they'd still be upset. I long for the day that right after World War II, when Harry Truman, of all people, got along so well with the Republican Senate because they were holding back communism, or LBJ working with Everett Dirksen, who I really deeply miss. I wish young people could see an Everett Dirksen today, a Republican senator, because they wanted civil rights for everybody. Both sides wanted it. Or to see even Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neil share Irish jokes. It would be wonderful.
Do Democrats risk looking like they're cheering on bad news when it comes to the midterms coming up?
I think that they do. I think it could be really bad for them. But we can't look back on this time with rose-colored glasses. It was different. If you want to know how Democrats feel, go to YouTube and look at Hillary Clinton's violent reaction the night she lost to Trump, and you'll get a bit of an idea. And you have to remember, only 67,000 people in Manhattan voted for Donald Trump. Theoretically, everybody who voted for Trump could fit in Javits Center.
But you know, but it could be argued that Hillary Clinton had to struggle with a Democrat Party that was yanked too far left, and she too was really in a bind because look at this, Doug. Democrats back in 1986, 44 Senate Democrats voted for the tax cuts, including Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, John Kerry, Ted Kennedy, and Al Gore.
Well, you're absolutely right, Liz. But again, we can't put on rose-colored glasses. I have to point out that Ronald Reagan had just won in 1984 every state in the union except Minnesota, and he almost won Minnesota. Donald Trump do that, and maybe you'll see some Democrats come on board.
I don't know if he's going to do that, but the point is that the Democrats are not what they used to be. And you know what, Doug? We picked up when the resist movement likely started. Let me back up. President Trump is wiping out Obama's legacy. Here are the Obama policies President Trump has rolled back. Besides getting rid of about 1,000 regulations, he's rolled back Obama policies like the Iran deal, the Paris Agreement, fuel emission standards, net neutrality, Obamacare mandate, DACA, Cuba, Keystone, and more. Now, you can agree or disagree with that, but he's doing it. The resist movement, Doug, really started under Obama. After Republicans got back control of the House in 2010, Obama ignored them, instead did an end run with executive action, the pen and phone stuff.
You're right. The only thing I want to point out, it is worse than it was, but I want to point out that academia and media never helped the Republicans. And think about this. Ronald Reagan saved the world from nuclear annihilation, but the Nobel Peace Prize went to Jimmy Carter, Mikhail Gorbachev, to Al Gore, to Barack Obama. They never gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Ronald Reagan, who ended the Cold War. So academia and the Democrats and the national media have always had this bent. It's just more exposed today by Donald Trump, who's not pretending. He's openly taking them on.
But let's talk about the resist movement that's going on right here, right now, in the here and now. Isn't there a common sense problem here that when you do things by executive actions, they're easily erased by the next president? I mean, it seemed like Obama thought Hillary was going to win and Hillary would preserve his legacy.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Imagine if she had won. All of that would have been preserved, and that's why he wouldn't go to the Senate, and he wouldn't be bipartisan. He didn't think he needed to. It'd be locked in by Hillary Clinton. It's why we had this revolt inside the FBI and the CIA. It's why they're blocking a career woman to be head of the CIA, because it's not good enough to be objective. They want pro-Democrat in those positions, you've got to have a political bias their way or they won't support you.
Yeah, it's really about policies that are good for the country. Doug Wead, we like having you on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your
Liz.
busy day and joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.